Hi, I'm Alison Rogers and today I'm going to do two demos for you, a show trim Bichon and a pet trim Bichon. This is one of my showbred Bichons, Alizo's Caesar's Palace. He's 2.5 years old. The most important thing about Bichons, especially doing them for show or pet, is that they're well prepared. So a good shampoo. The whitening shampoos are very good, mixed with some like heavy duty cleansing shampoos to get them clean, because though they're nice and white and clean and fluffy like this, a lot of my dogs end up being full of mud, and a lot of the pet dogs do too. So regular good shampoo washing them will help maintain this coat and the texture of this coat. Caesar's got a very thick coat, so you'll see that it's a bit different to the pet trim later on. But because of that, it is very important that he's bathed and blow dried correctly, right down to the root, so that you remove all the hair, so it's nice and straight. And also you'll get all the little fairies out of his coat as well. Little fairies are like little tiny bits of dead hair that when you're combing, if they're not taken out, you see, there's one there. If they're not taken out, then they can, cause more mats and knots, and they'll make it harder for you to scissor. So it's really important that these are all removed before you start trimming and scissoring. And again, your bathed and dried is the most important part of grooming any sort of Bichon. You can be a very good groomer and not get the trim correctly because the preparation is really poor. So put as much time and effort into the preparation and you'll find it'll make your life a lot easier. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start blocking him out. I've bathed and dried him already, and as you can see, he's got quite a good coat on him. He's very hairy. Normally for show he wouldn't be as hairy as this, but to show you how to dramatically take the coat off, I've left him a bit longer. So going to start my line. So I'm going to use my workhorse scissors to start with, because he's got a very dense, thick coat. To use my finishing scissors straight away, I wouldn't get the coat through it because he's got a lot of coat. So they're a very good finishing scissors, but they also take a lot of the coat off. And as you can see, his coat is very thick, which is quite rare as well for some Bichons. You don't always get the coat like this. A lot of this is to do with food, diet and maintenance, why his coat is so good. And also breeding helps too. Both his mum and his dad have got very good coats. So I'm just taking the back line out. I'm going to leave it from where the withers are, just a bit further back, because this is where I want my neck to start to then come up. If I show you on the other side, when you're looking at a Bichon, it's very important that you know the structure of your dog. It's very good to do a nice looking Bichon underneath. It's a lot easier if you've got the bone structure, but not all pet Bichons or all dogs will have the correct structure. So with the top of your neckline, that needs to come down and then go into the back leg, okay? That's one straight line diagonal, like so. So by coming into to the back, just leaving it probably about 2 inches from the withers, this will then enable me to get my neck going up further. You can always take a bit more off, you can't stick it back on. So it's very important to just do a little bit at a time, and you'll find that a lot easier. So got my top line in. This wants to be nice and flat. I will go over this at some point. Good boy. And then I'm just going to come up and around the ribs. Again, I'm leaving from the end of the rib, if you feel the rib cage, from the end of the rib is where I'm going to leave this bit of hair more. Okay, unlike a poodle where you take it down if you're going to clip like a lamb trim, I'm wanting to leave this bit section more because I need to grow this hair to develop it in. A lot of people make Bichons look very long by taking them up into the tuck up and then obviously back here, so which angulates the dog and also makes it long legged and also long in body. I'm getting my shape going round, so I do want a nice round rib, but then I will also then go straight across in a minute. Always put your scissors down and comb your dog also when you are doing any wool. Now I'm just going to go straight across. Once I've got my shape in, this helps me neaten off. Make sure you stand back and look at your dog. It's very important. You do a bit at a time rather than rush too much. Just going to angle him slightly different so I can get round. When you're scissoring, make sure you scissor from your feet down. If you look how I'm standing, my weight is distributed from one foot, lifting up to the other. Then when I come to scissor, I will move my body weight and come in with the dog. This helps you glide with your scissors. I'm just going to get my other scissors. This helps you glide with your scissors, but also get a better balance when you're trimming the dog. I'm also looking down at the minute now when I'm trimming the side, is because I want to be able to trim in, so it's like a bit like a waist I'm wanting to put in, so he looks nice and sort of like hourglassy. I've gone from the workhorse scissors to the softer scissors because in this area the dog has got a slightly different texture coat and it's slightly softer. Because this area with the running, jumping and things like this breaks a lot more, the coat is slightly different texture with him and it's softer. So I get a better finish using these scissors than I would with the workhorse scissors. So I'm getting my waistline in. I probably will take a bit more off here at the minute. I'm just going to take and get my shoulder. So you need to feel the dog's shoulder so you know where it is. Okay, he's got quite a nice front end, so again it makes it easier. But again, if you had a dog whose shoulder wasn't as good, you can put lines in to create this, whereas I'm just following. Careful you don't sink in to the top of the leg. So it needs to flow nice straight leg down once you're doing the leg air. So I tend to put my line in and I will go back here and trim this more if I need to. So I'm going to use my curved scissors. Now I've got most of the shape, I'm also going to just use some scissor spray. There's various ones on the market. This just helps my scissors glide through the coat and get more of a pristine finish. To get this scissor finish, you see. Make sure you move all around your dog when you're trying to look for your shape. I'm going to now go for the curves. These are really good soft curved scissor. So not only am I going to get my finish with these ones, I also get a lot of shape that I need. Whereas some curved scissors don't leave a good finish. I'm just going to bend his neck in. So I'm bringing it in and back out. This is a bit like a pony on a, but don't hurt him, just so it's very natural. And this helps him tuck his head down. This end up giving me a longer neck. And take his chest now. If you've got a dog that's got like a pigeon chest, he hasn't, then you will need to leave a bit of padding either side. But because he's got quite a nice chest, I take it very, very short. But again, make sure you look at and feel your structure of your dog underneath. It's very important to know how your dog should be. You can hear how it's dragging into the scissor. So then go and get your, got the block out, then get your finishing scissors to neaten it up. When scissoring any wool coat, it's really important not to put your scissors into the coat. Okay, it's very important just to scissor like you're scissoring a cloud. That way you're not going to get as many lines or problems or take too much off in certain areas. Just gonna okay, so you've got your ear. From the back of your ear, you're going to go in a line towards the neck, a bit like a curve, like a funnel. So you want it like a triangle. And then I'll come back to the head later. I'll do the other side from behind and bring it in. Again, this is just me getting my shape in, and then we'll come back to the head after I've done the legs. Right, okay, so I'm going to start the legs now. So If you were doing a competition or if you were showing, you would already have the groin area and you'd already have under your pads done before. You can do this before or during. I tend to, when I'm doing him, do it as I'm going along, just so I don't forget. So for the feet, I'm going to use the small little wall clipper. And then for the groin, I'm going to use the bigger one, okay? And that's going to be on a 15 blade. And the 15 blade is the middle setting, which is the number 2. So you have 1, 2 and 3. This clipper will actually go from a 9 blade, which is what the 3 is for. And then if you pull it in between the 3 and the 2, that is a 10. Then onto the 2 is a 15. Then you've got a 30, which is in between the 2 and the 1, and then the number 1 is a 40 blade. So these clippers are really useful. I use them in the salon. They're very comfy to use and handle, and they're very quiet, especially for cats and dogs that are scared of clippers. But first of all, we're going to use the little clipper, which this will be like equivalent of a 30 blade. As you can see, if I turn it to the 30 blade, you can tell with the teeth, it's the same teeth. Okay, but because it's smaller and easier to move around, it's a bit easier and nicer for the dog to use a smaller one for the toes. Okay, so we get him up. He's a bit lazy. Caesar, 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 wake up. Mwah. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move the spray over there. Just I want to get rid of all this loose hair off the table, because again, just like the fairies, if you don't remove all your loose hair, this will help get more knots and things like that, and we don't want more mats. We've just spent ages grooming him out. So we're just going to remove this. As you can see, it's very winter at the minute, so Bichons tend to get yellow staining with the damp weather, and because I live in the country, they do tend to go out and play wherever they want to, really. Mine do. So we're just going to open the pad. Make sure you don't scoop it out, because this can hurt the dog. So by going nice and gently in, again, any of your Larsas, your Bichons, any sort of breeds, this is, you know, really good tool to use. I'm just going to go to just where the topper is, not the back of the pad. We need that hair for later on, so we just need to make it all out. As well, I mean, he's quite well behaved because he's used to having the clippers, but what you've got to remember is, I don't know what you're like, but I'm a nightmare if anyone tickles my feet. So just bear in mind that you're not over touching the feet, but you need to also, when you're clipping into the pad, but not scooping out too much, and then come the other way. Okay, that way you won't catch the pad and you won't hurt the dog. Again, don't be clipping in between these bits, because you can catch the skin on these sections here as well, so just go easy. So we're going to do the front foot just the same. So as you can see, we've got excess hair there, so we'll take that off. And just the same. So I'm just clipping, and then I'm just lifting the hair so I can see what I'm doing. You just want to remove the hair from the pads, so there's no hair overhanging. Make sure you're not cutting the hair around the edge up this time. Okay. Now, comb it down. Now for a pet Bichon now, I would normally pull down and trim, but for show, I tend not to do that until I've got my shape in my leg, because for show we need a fuller leg, okay, and until I've got this section trimmed, sometimes you can take too much off. So I'm going to get my equipment ready. So I'm going to need my feet scissors for when I do my feet in a minute. okay, which is a smaller scissor. Okay, this helps me be able to get around the foot, so if the dog moves and stuff, I've got more control of the foot. So I use them for most dogs' feet, and also around, like if I was doing other breeds, around ears and things like that. Okay, so we're going to move my equipment so it doesn't get damaged. Be careful that these don't get dropped on the floor. So we're now going to do the back leg. So again, make sure before you do any scissoring, you combed your dog out, because it's been sat on the table, this hair's fallen, it can get really quite hairy again. So I'm going to get the larger clipper, and we're going to come around, and we're going to do around the anal area, which is just this section here, not this hair here. So again, this is a 15 blade, same as what I'm doing for the groin. Okay. Just be careful. It's really important when you are clipping around the anal area, they have this little crease here, and as you can see, when you touch it, it makes the dog flinch a bit. So if you are putting your clippers in very tight, then as you can see, if you're going in, it just tickles, so the dog's going to flinch. If you put your clippers in very tight and you're not very careful, like I'm doing it, if you go in and you're like putting pressure on, then that's when this section here will come out and you can catch it. So it's very important that you're really careful when you're doing that. Okay, so it's groin. There's two ways to do the groin, depending on the dog. If you've got a larger dog, you can lift the leg up and come up, but with it being a Bichon and the smaller dogs, if you lift both two hands up, but make sure you've got your finger in between, lift him up, you can lift, and you can actually see all this. So I'm just going to hit the groin. I'm really careful. I'm just going to put them down again. Just going to lift that leg up. Now I can see. Make sure you keep your dog's line and you go down, not lift the dog's leg up and cause pain. I don't know if you can see with my head. Can you see? Yep, my head in the way. Again, be careful you're not taking the tuck up. You're just clearing around that area. I'm just going to lift him up again. Just double check. Now I've got everything. If he's got a lot of hair on the end of his willy, if you grab hold of his willy and then just clip and slightly squeeze, that way it'll stop the shaft coming out, and then clip down. Okay, so now I'm blending in again my line, and then I'm going to come along the dog, and where the bum bone is, that is where my line goes in. Now on a Bichon, it wants to be more curved than a poodle. So it's just slightly a bit lower down. Okay, and then I'm going to get my tail out of the way, and I'm going to put a line in so it's like a T, an upside down T. Can you see? So this is the top of the T, and this would be so it'd be like the T like that, but this would be the tail section, and this would be my scissors. Okay, so you can see I've got the point so far, okay? It's a bit harsh that for a Bichon as yet, okay? And this is really important as well, is that you don't take too much out of the bum to start with, okay, this area. Right, and then now I'm going to blend this in. Unlike a poodle where they come down and sort of flat and then out, A Bichon needs to come from the top around. So if you look that side, it wants to come around and not straight down, okay? So it'll look like I'm taking it straight down to start with. If I blend in the leg, I always leave this bit to the last because I used to always chop it off. So I might do methods slightly different to how you've been taught in the past or how you're doing it. Doesn't necessarily mean what you're doing is wrong. It's just sometimes I've found these methods to stop me getting my bad habits. This helps me. And this is the one thing, by leaving this bum a bit pointy and then rounding it later, helps me. Okay, and the same with the feet. That's why I don't trim the feet until I'm ready to get them, because I used to take the feet too short. So now I want to look at the back of the line, I want to look at the dog. So it's really important that the dog stood in a straight line. And as you can see, I've got a curve here, and then it should come out, and then it should curve again here, and then just come down, okay? Bichon's very curvy. It's not square and straight. Okay, I'm going to get my finishing scissors, and I'm going to come down with the scissor. We always have a bit where the dog moves and you always get a big hole. So don't panic. Just sort of go, stop, go, comb it again and blend it in and round it off. There you go, and then it's gone. This is why I didn't take as much out of this waist just yet, because now I'm getting the leg. You can now see I'm making him look like he's got more curves to him. Again, I want to be looking at my line. I'm going to be looking at my line again. So he's to take it up here. I'm going to get my curved scissors and I'm going to come and get that shape. You see the line that I'm trying to work on. As you can see, this hair breaks really easy, so the texture is different. As you can see, this hair's here. Just by taking a little bit off, it'll make it look thicker. I'll just take a little bit first, get my bum again. I'm going to go round. So it's a rounded bum now, because we're not doing a poodle. It's easy, stop it. Okay, so now I need to do the foot. Okay, I need to comb down his leg, just comb all this. I'm not taking it right to the foot. For the show ones, if you take it right to the foot, the problem is what happens is you end up pincing the feet and making them look like little pincer feet. And the problem is if they're in grass or you're showing any area that's going to get damp or wet, then they end up shrinking up and your dog doesn't look balanced when it's moving. So I do tend to leave the feet fuller when showing than for grooming competitions. So as you can see, I've got my line in, if you look, trimmed underneath, and I've got my line in. So then with my curved scissors, I'm following that line, but I'm doing it while the dog's got its foot down. The reason this is because then I can see when he's totally trimmed that I haven't took too much off. I can always lift it up and take it more. You can't stick it back on. There you go, there's another fairy there, look. There's a very good friend of mine told me about fairies. And it's really important because if you don't get them out, the mats just get solid, and then you end up with no coat left. Either a dematting, or you can see now I'm coming right round the leg. I'm going to lift the other leg up so I can see what I'm doing. Again, gently. When lifting your dog, make sure it's comfortable for the dog and you aren't lifting the legs too high. As you can see, I'm in line with the dog at all times. Okay. And I'm moving this hair. So if I lift up now, I can see the bits that are overhanging. You see, like magic. So now I'm going to do my outside leg here, then I'll do the inside leg, then I'll do the front and then the back. So if you're working a routine, you'll find it a lot easier. If you do it the other way round, if you take the hock before you take the inside, then you end up taking too much off the hock. And the idea is that this section here, from where the leg is, so from the bum to where the leg to there to where the hock is balanced. Okay, and again, this is really important. So from the bum to here and to there is got to be balanced. So as you can see, there's not an awful lot of coat that needs to come off there. If I do take more off here, then I need to balance it up. Okay. When grooming any dog, it's really important that you do that. I'm just going to check from behind. And coming down. Now I'm going to do inside of my leg. So you're just going to go straight down. And you want to go, especially with him being a... Oh, sorry. I know, especially with him being a boy, you need to angle it and go straight down. Because what happens a lot when people are doing Bichons, normally I'd be stood straight forward so I'd be able to see, but the camera wouldn't be able to see, is they take this section here straight up like that, and then they make the dogs look like this. And that's not how you do it, okay? Because when it's moving away, I mean, you don't want loads of hair because you don't want the hair catching between them. But when they're moving away from you in the ring, you don't want to see these big testicles flying out about at you. So it needs to come, it does go in a bit, but then from there it goes straight down. And then obviously, to round this off, this is why I left this before, is we just come up, round this off, and then when I do the other side of the bum, some people do shave that section, but you just got to be careful not to take too much. If you're unsure with your straight scissors about going diagonally, what's really good is to use your curves, and in that way you're not going to get lines in the dog's leg. You can see by going from the inside I'm actually taking a bit of this section of the hair on the inside as well. Stand. Then I'm coming up. I'm just getting my line, but I'm not doing the hock yet. Okay, I've left the hock. If you want to come and see the side here, you'll see the shape. So I've just took that section there. Okay, and then I'm going to go from the inside leg And again, I'm using curved scissors to do this. And I'm coming then to do my outside line, but turn the curved scissors the other direction. And again, I'm going back over like what I just did a minute ago, but I'm blending it in. So I'm blending 1, 2, 3 legs in together, okay? Again, stand my dog and make sure I'm looking at my dog. Then now I'm doing my hook. So blend in there, getting in from my back leg. Again, moving around your dog, it's very important. And then now I'm just going to blend it in. Make sure it kicks off the floor slightly for a Bichon. To get this shape, you have to make sure this dog is blow dried really straight and no curls in it. But obviously, with it being a coat that does need to have a curl in it, you will find that a lot of the curl on the top line here and the tail, when its tail's over and it's wagging, will show this curl come back in the show ring, and that's how the judges find out if the dog's got the correct coat. But to get the shape and the finish, you're not going to get that unless this coat's blown through properly and maintained well. But for a show dog, really, compared to some other breeds, it doesn't have an awful lot of coat. It still has only got a tiny amount of coat on its back. It's only certain areas like the hocks and the tuck up that we leave more hair to make the balance, to make them look like the Bichon shape, okay? So, but again, even still, she's got a bit of hair there, but it's not an awful lot. It's not a load of hair. So most breeds can keep up to this, but I think with this breed, a lot of owners are worried and scared, and I think some groomers do as well. One of the most common things that I get told is actually, you don't actually leave a lot of coat on, do you? But they look like they have more coat. Because I think people assume that Bichons have got a very daintier body shape than like a poodle does, so they expect all this coat. And we do have it on the hock hairs, and we do probably have it like more on the head. But as long as your dog's balanced, the front leg now. And as you can see on this side, the other side's fine. On this side, I've got a bit of a gap here. He's been playing with the puppies that we've got at home, and they've been ragging him around. So I'm going to have to improvise with that section. So again, comb down. I've already done his pads under there. So I'm going to brush it down, and I'm going to get my feet scissors. Again, when you're working, always make sure that your equipment isn't, you know, sort of going to get damaged, but also not in the way of the dog. Pull down the foot. Again, because I want the fuller feet, especially with the front, I'm just going to take it off around the edge. Not as tight as what I would take with a pet dog. And then again, I'm going to put the foot down. And then I'm going to use curved scissors again to neaten it up. As you can see, I've already got my line. Okay, they want to be tubular, these feet. To get my curves. I'm just moving him slightly, if you can see, distributing his body weight. That just helps me move his foot without holding it up. I'm going to take that. He tends to lean quite a lot. I'm not moving him around a lot, he's just leaning on me. So again, I'm going to start on the outside, then the inside, then the front, and then last at the back. The back again, this section here has got more hair than at the front, because I want the dog to look like its legs are going underneath it, which it are. Okay, then this bit needs to be shorter. So I flick up, blending it in. I'm ignoring that hole at the minute. Okay. Because for sure I need it to grow back, so. This is the problem with winter weather. Coats get damaged and break a lot easier than in the summer. So I'm just doing this section first. So either go up or down. So then your front leg, I used to really struggle with getting the front leg correctly and sort of getting lines in it. So I tend to find curved scissors, and this is what fixed it. So I pick the front leg up. Be careful not to take this front leg too short. You'll notice I don't cut this bit yet till the very end. Okay, and also I don't take the front leg as tight, because you don't want a big gap. Should just be a little line, not a big gap. This is really easy to take too short, especially if you're a groomer, because this is the area that the owners can't keep up with. So we have to take it short, or the coat's normally damaged. And we always want to like over trim. So it's nice and cylindrical. You will see I'll leave this bit until the last, until I've done the other side. I'll come in, and I'm now doing the outside. That's this bit. Flick back. Again, curved scissors around the other way. Now I'm blending in 1, 2 and 3 all together. Again, same as on the back. Just blending it all in, making sure it's all, because we don't want a square dog. We need a round leg. Then as you can see, the back leg doesn't really have an awful lot taken off. And just take a bit more off there. Just going over my straights just to get more of a pristine finish. And I'm going to come, right, his leg and his elbow is there, okay? I'm going to come a bit further back, and I want to come down here. So that is his bone. And I want probably, for sure, I want probably about 1 inch this way. Okay, so then if I comb it, then we come down. I get my lining first by scissoring down, then I lift the leg up. I always found if I lift my leg up first and then scissored it, I used to take too much off. And then you end up with like an ice cream cone, so you'd end up with like little small feet and then it going too wide. So then I lift the leg up and then I blend it in. Again, as you can see, we've got hair missing here, so I'm going to have to grow that section. You'll see better on the other side when I come to trim the other. Now I'm going to go over the leg again, just to make sure we don't have welly feet. So I need to get some spray. This will just help me scissor the areas that have been damaged by the winter weather slightly. And good boy. So I've got my lining at the top here, but it's going from the leg. He's not quite stood right all the way up to along. So I'm just going to blend in these least wispy ends, just to blend it. I already did the funnel. I'm just going to slightly turn him so he's facing me. So I can, again, go back over the same technique as I did. When trimming the head, the key is to trim from behind. And then that way we can take the ears and the head in with him. And then turn that way. And then again, hold him so he's like a little pony with a bridle on. Come around. Obviously I've felt where his ear is already. By tipping his head down, you stop that ear flick thing and the ear's going in the wrong direction. And also I don't lift the ear up to trim under. What I do is I comb, and I make sure I comb out when I'm doing it. I'm using the curved scissors in both directions, that direction and also that direction to get over the ear. I'm going to go around and do the other side. And just turn him slightly that way. Again, tipping the dog's head down and bringing it in to his head. This is where everyone tends to struggle with Bichon. It's the hardest part of the dog, is its head. This is just the method I do. Some people do different methods. It's not right or wrong. I just found this is the easiest way for me to get this shape. And again, I'm wanting that funnel effect. So when I'm looking at the dog down, I can see the curve here coming out and then the curve up and coming down. Right, now some people leave this full under here, but I take it out mainly because when you've got the neck noose, good lad. So I'm going to lift his head with his ears, take him all up. And I'm going to take a V. Because then when you've got the neck noose on, especially for showing, you're not going to have any of that hair sticking out. Okay, now I'm going to go from the side again to bring my neck up. If your hair's a bit wispy or you're a bit out of condition, just a bit of scissor spritz will help hold and scissor that while you bring that up. Again, I'm stood on my tiptoes when I'm doing this and I'm moving the whole of my body. I'm not statically still. You need to make sure you don't leave too much hair here because you don't want it to look like a helmet stuck on a head as well. Just going to do around the other side at the same time. This section needs to come out a bit more, so I'm going to get my curved scissors. If you're ever struggling with this breed, and you are wanting to show, there are a lot of really nice breeders out there that are willing to help you and give you tips. Just ask them, obviously when they're not too busy with the dogs. And you'll get to gain loads of knowledge and extra tips from them on how and what they want the dogs to look like. And that's, I think, how I've changed my grooming over the years. Right, okay, I'm going to bring it all down. I'm going to get my curved scissors and go from the underneath hair and I'm coming up and around. And then go to the other side. So make sure you're combing the hair from in front of the ear. You don't want the ear to be separated from the head because then you end up not with a round head. Years ago they used to be like a bell shape, but now we do them round now. And one of the top breeders always taught me that the eyes should be in the centre of the head. So if you look, his eyes are there, should be in the centre of the head. So that's what I'm trying to aim for when I'm doing this top bit now. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, so hopefully it'll work. I'm going to take my sides first. And I've already put the lines in too. So it's really easy to take too much off the top and too much off the bottom. Just remember the eyes need to be in the centre. And I'm coming round. So I'm doing one line, and then I'm following that line behind, doing another. Another. Stand. Good boy. Move that foot for me. That one back then. That's it, good boy. Jet up. And just blend in where the V is in. normally I wouldn't leave this head as full as this, so for showing it would be trimmed regular, so it wouldn't have as much coat. It wouldn't make it as hard to get the shape. Now I'm blending the back here, because a lot of people, what they do is they do a nice round head, but they leave this bit too full, and then the dog doesn't balance as well. It's one of the things I used to do as well. It's really easy done. Now, for pet, I would normally probably done his eyes first, but for show, the reason why I don't trim his eyes first is because if we're doing it outside, getting him ready for sort of the ring, and we trim his eyes first and it's a sunny day, he gets sun in his eyes, or it's windy day, then his eyes will start weeping and his face will get all wet. And then we don't want that. You see how it's nice and dry at the minute, and I've been trimming it. But if we were outside, then obviously you can see how he's got a lot of hair around there that I need to take out. So we're going to take it now with scissors. You can see how when you're bathing and drying him, it makes it weep, okay? You can see he's got no staining. This is due to the food that I feed him. I feed him a grain-free food, and also he gets, like, the water that where I live is really fresh and clean. It's not hard or any chemicals. So if you do have that bottled water, or somebody once told me to put cider vinegar in the water, and this will reduce the staining. You will get a certain staining, like he's got a bit of yellowish, and that's due to the weather. But as you can see, he's got no red staining around his mouth or also around his eyes. A lot of this is the prettier heads you're never going to get away from it. But the food that I feed him does stop and prevent all this, because I don't really do anything else but that, really, the food and the water. And I think as well that's why he has a really good coat. And there's various grain-free foods on the market. If you go to one of the dog shows and ask some of the companies, they'll be able to guide you and help you with that. So I'm going to take the corner of the eye here. So again, these are little tiny scissors. They're a bit smaller than my feet scissors, so they're just a little bit smaller. Okay, but you could use feet scissors if you can't get hold of them. So I'm going to do corner of eye. And then just where the tear duct is. So on a Bichon, for show, you're going to take that line there and then underneath this bit. So I'm going to move his hair out of his eyes. And again, this would be the last bit that I would do, ready for the show ring. Because again, don't want his eyes running with the wind and stuff getting in if he was outside or in a dusty hall or something like that. Obviously in a salon here, it doesn't going to make any difference today. You don't take too much hair over the bridge, but we do want to take some of it. So I want to take this section here, this bit, but I'm not going to take all this section, okay? So I'm just going to like that. And then I'm just going to take along the bridge to just get them hairs that are just flying. This is because I want to be able to show his beautiful pigment. As you can see, he's got really nice dark pigment on his nose and really nice dark halos. And we need to see this. So we need to clear this hair. Obviously, if you've got a dog that doesn't have as nice a pigment as he does, then you might not want to take as much hair. because you're going to show pink eyes, and the breed need to have nice, desirable black pigment. Okay, so I need to stand him up, because when I'm doing his head, I need his head up now. Right, so I'm going to pull it down. Now in America they take it more like a V, so they do a corner of the eye like we do, to the corner of the eye, but they go a bit further back from the dog's head. But the thing is, they make it look quite aggressive. So I tend to do this first and then round it off like we do it in England. Just helps me get my shape. So I'm pulling it down. I'm sort of building a wall up, but it's coming out, a bit like it did with the neck. Oh, curly, kinky bits, haven't you? I could tell you hadn't had your head done for ages. So now I'm rounding it off, and I'm bringing it up and around. And bringing it up and around here, because I want to open these eyes. I want to be able to see the beautiful expression. That's really what a Bichon's all about, is this head and this face. Okay, so I'm just going to spray, a bit of spray. Be careful, it's not going to go in his eyes. So I'm just going to angle the spray up. This will just help hold it for me to get a better shape now. And hopefully I'll get them eyes in the right place. Taking the whiskers off slightly, so he's sticking out a bit. Kind of need to go from behind here, it's sticking out a bit too much. Okay, now what I'm going to do with him is I wouldn't always do with some breeds. He's got a really pretty head, he's got a really nice triangle, and he doesn't have a long nose. If he had a really long nose, then I wouldn't do this at all. But on him, to make his eyes pop a bit more on his nose, is I'm just going to take just this section here and there, and just with feet scissors. if you did this on a dog that had a really long nose, you're going to emphasise the long nose more than his pigment. And it'll make him look ugly. So please don't do this on dogs that have got not the correct triangle. So just turn him round. My table. Make sure again you get all these little bits of hair out, because these are going to cause mats and knots. And this way you can check if you've missed any bits you're finishing. Obviously for grooming competitions, you can use sprays and products. For show you can't, so you're only using the styling products when grooming your dog, not in the show ring or before the show ring. So make sure, because you would do this a couple of times before he'd be ready to the show, and then obviously at the show you just then putting a finish on him. Just got a bit of there. Also move your dog around for the light so you can see the finish. So you can see I've got bits here that aren't finished correctly. So I'm just going to spray a bit of the scissoring spray. And then with my softer scissors, I'm going to scissor straight across. And this will just give it a better finish. Obviously remember I had the hole where the puppies were, so I just need to like comb that over till it grows. Not every single dog is perfect at the perfect time with the perfect coat, so it's important that you know and you understand how to make the best out of what you can do. With weather, it does affect this breed quite a lot. So if it's very wet, coat can dry, coat can break and become damaged. It can stain very easily. You know, but all that said, is they're not a really hard maintenance dog to keep up to if they're kept up to correctly and they've got the right information and advice. And the amount of love and attention they'll give you as a breed far outweighs any of the sort of grooming if you don't enjoy it. You know, I always feel that when I've spoke to people that have got Bichons, you don't choose to have a Bichon chooses to have you. They come into your life when you don't expect it. This wasn't a breed that I thought, oh, I'd love to have a Bichon. I looked after one and fell in love with them, and it was like, I have to have a Bichon. And they become a bit, you have one, you end up having another. With the Bichons for show, you do not trim the tail at all. This is all left naturally. Obviously for pet, I'll explain to you in a bit. If you cut this hair, you're going to lose the texture. It's not going to be correct. You just need to groom it out and brush it out. If you keep brushing it out, yes, they do get matted, but it also comes out very easy. If you start cutting it and chopping it off, it's going to become more matted, and it'll grow back thicker like the body coat. So it's not going to be as easy to demat. So as you can see, the texture is a lot different than the body. So you just leave it more natural, just really trim the base of it slightly, and that's it. So that's the full Bichon. It's all done. Me and Caesar would like to thank Linda Barker for letting us borrow her salon so we could come all the way down from Yorkshire.